From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Turning to alternatives.
You know, I guess being a farmer, you always have to have plan B, at least plan B, sometimes plan C as well.
How some farmers in Georgia are finding success despite some curveballs from Mother Nature. Pressure on the poultry industry.
The economics have gotten much tougher.
More on what's causing some processing plants to close as we await new numbers from USDA that could be a game changer for markets.
But I always go back to the genetics being better, and yields always end up being better than anticipated.
A preview as we are just hours away from a big report right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Happening later today, USDA will release one of its most anticipated reports of the year, its August supply-demand report. This month's report representing the first yield and production forecast of the season based on what farmers are seeing. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, the agency reaching out to 15,000 producers across the country to get their thoughts.
Right, USDA changed their methodology and won't use objective field data until the September report. Now combine that with satellite imagery and weather data, and it'll be interesting to see just how much the improvement in weather the last month has impacted yield, or if USDA makes any demand adjustments. The trade is looking for a 2-bushel cut in corn yield from July to 175.5 bushels, which would result in a 185 million bushel drop in production. The key is how much farmers think the July and early August rains did to reverse drought stress and overcome heat.
That's where my estimate is, right around that 175 flat, because we did have a fairly hot and dry July, and that's where the yields made. But I always go back to the genetics being better, and yields always end up being better than anticipated.
Soybean yield guesses show less than a bushel cut at 51.3 and a 54 million bushel drop in production. But analysts won't be surprised if USDA leaves it unchanged with the improved weather.
I tend to think that they're just going to punt and leave things the same in both corn and beans while waiting for September to when they get out and do ear counts and ear sizes and a lot of the objective work that they'll start to do that.
Even if USDA cuts yield, with demand figured in, soybean carryover only drops 33 million bushels. New crop corn ending stocks show a 94 million bushel cut and are still burdensome at 2.17 billion. Market experts say yield cuts are easily being offset by slower demand.
That's the one that I'm more worried about. You know, you're looking at the demand side, you know that our exports have been running behind normal. We haven't been able to keep pace on whether in both the inspections, the shipment side and on the sales side.
And trade estimates for all wheat production unchanged from July at 1.739 billion bushels as a drop in spring wheat yields is offset by other classes. Carryover would be raised by just 6 million bushels to 598 million. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
And yields could see a boost thanks to some rain finally falling in the central part of the country. The latest Drought Monitor showing that right now just over 30% of the nation is in some sort of drought. That's up 2% from last week due to heat and dryness increasing down in the south. But check out states like Missouri, where drought is now just under 33%. That's down more than 15% in just 1 week, with the extreme drought category in the state down 10%. And that's helping the nation's corn and soybean crops, with 49% of the corn crop now in drought. That's the lowest it's been since June 6th. As for soybeans, now 43% of the crop is in drought. That's a drop of 8% from last week. But all the rain falling in the central part of the country hasn't always been gentle. In western Kansas, hail hit Monday and Tuesday night. 3 weeks ago, the area saw straight line winds. As you can see, some fields hit with hail are already a total loss. Others have shredded leaves. And now our weather team is tracking the potential of several rounds of strong, severe thunderstorms for the upper Midwest on into the Great Lakes. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with more. Matt.
You know, it's funny, Clint, that's exactly what I was going to talk about is the severe weather potential. It's like we communicate before actually doing this. The severe thunderstorm risk coming up before your Friday seems pretty expansive. Now, there's going to be a cold front that's going to push in from the northwest down to the southeast, and along that front, we could get a few tornadoes, damaging winds, heavy rain, and large hail that in and within portions of the Midwest. That includes Missouri, but also into Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. A secondary spot back in into the southeast that is disconnected from the cold front. Now, as we shift into Saturday, that cold front is going to be moving across the United States. So by Saturday, now you got that outline into Ohio, Pennsylvania, even into New York and Kentucky. And by the time we get into Saturday, early Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, also another little bubble right there showing up in the panhandle of Texas and into Oklahoma. And a great tradition to see in Montana, a cattle drive right through the streets of downtown. Jason sharing this video. Always really cool to see. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Catastrophic wildfires continue raging across Hawaii's Big Island and Maui, contributing to the fires, lingering chronic drought conditions, and invasive grasses growing after a wet season. The state's lieutenant governor is saying the road to recovery could take years. Mike Valerio is in Honolulu with the latest.
As deadly wildfires devastating parts of Maui approach their third day, rescue and recovery efforts continue.
The primary focus is to save lives and then to prevent human suffering and to mitigate great property loss.
Hurricane Dora, passing more than 800 miles to the south, helped to fan strong winds over the islands, causing the fire to spread quickly and forcing families to make harrowing escapes.
The smoke was filling our house and we had no choice but to evacuate. We had no time to grab anything.
Helicopter footage shows the extent of the damage. Hundreds of homes and buildings burned to the ground, many of them in the historic town of Lahaina.
These wildfires now are so much more intense, so much bigger, move so much quicker.
Stranded passengers lined the hallways of the airport, waiting for flights off the island. Officials are asking visitors to leave the popular tourist destination as soon as possible as they work to help the hundreds of families displaced.
So, we need to make sure the people who's been affected by this, we need to get their immediate needs met. In the future, we rebuild. Lahaina's strong. It's not just an expression. So we start rebuilding.
Tyson Foods CEO says he's never seen a more challenging macro environment. That is, the company announced it's closing 4 poultry processing plants, a hit to small towns and poultry producers who grow for Tyson. Now, as we first reported earlier this week, Tyson announced Monday plans to close 4 poultry processing facilities. The news came as the company missed its third quarter Wall Street estimates. The 4 plants are located in North Little Rock, Arkansas, Knoll, Missouri, Dexter, Missouri, and Corden, Indiana. All but the Indiana plant are expected to close in October. The Corden location will shutter in March. University of Missouri Extension livestock economist Scott Brown telling AgDay some growers will have their contracts bought out, meaning they'll no longer grow chickens for Tyson, while others could get moved to another plant in northern Arkansas. Now, Tyson says the decision to close the 4 plants is based on the need to move production to more efficient facilities.
If you look at recent USDA data, it would suggest margins to broiler production have fallen 60% from July of 22 to July of 23. So it tells you the economics have gotten much tougher. High corn prices. We continue to see feed costs that stay much higher than we've seen historically for a longer period of time.
Brown says with inflation pressures on consumers and COVID stimulus money now gone, that is also impacting demand. Markets were creeping higher ahead of Friday's USDA report. We'll dig into the numbers coming up next. And a blueberry farm without many blueberries requires some innovative thinking. We'll meet a Georgia operation finding a way today in the country.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when experience meets expertise. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Corn and wheat seeing some gains, but traders are positioning themselves ahead of today's USDA report. Michelle Rook is back with an update in markets now.
Grains mostly higher on Thursday. Ted Seifert's Interag Hedge joining us with analysis. And Ted, going into the WASDE report here today, let's talk about how important this August report really is.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a rather important report, and I think most people don't understand why. And the reason is because of yield. And I mean, it's somewhat obvious to say, well, the yield in August is that's important. But what this report is, it marks a shift from the USDA and World Ag Board on how they estimate these yields, right? Up until this point, all the way from the Outlook report, all the way through the July WASDE report, these yields are all statistically based and statistically based on trend line versus weather. Now, this is the first objective yield that we see for this coming marketing year for this current crop that's in the ground. And it is based on a farmer survey. And to some degree, it's based on satellite imagery. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. The USDA won't say exactly which part is weighted more than the other. Well, no, they will say that the survey is typically weighted more than the satellite imagery, but they won't give you the breakdown of, 70-30 or 80-20 or anything like that.
Yeah.
The reason why I think that is because I think it's a moving target. And I think in years where you have significant weather changes, after that survey is taken, they rely a little bit more heavily on those satellite imagery. And I think this is one of those years, Michelle. So I'm very curious to see what this yield is. I know we all are very curious to see what this yield is. It is a very important thing. And it's possible that it could be very different than what the statistical analysis has been saying.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about USDA punting on yield, but they really can't do that here, can they?
No, they really can't. I mean, it is possible that the stats were right and this survey / satellite imagery agrees and it comes out roughly the same or close to what the trade estimates are. But it's not a punt because it's a completely different way of calculating yield.
So do we have a yield cut kind of already baked into prices? So if we do have yield go the other way, it could be wildly bearish to price?
Yeah, no, that really would not be good for the markets. I mean, we are really just kind of clinging on to some support going into this report, and you need a bullish report in order to hold this. If this is a neutral to bearish report, you could have some pretty significant and aggressive downside in a fairly short period of time.
Thanks for joining us with analysis. Ted Seifert, Zaner Ag Hedge. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
For professional marketing advice specifically tailored to your needs, call Zaner Ag Hedge at 312-277-0113. Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
Well, the updated drought monitor continues to see some of that moderate drought, dry to moderate scale back in Illinois or Wisconsin. We're getting back more into the extreme, if not exceptional. There is going to be some rain. Unfortunately, as we saw, it does come with potential for some stronger thunderstorms where we need some of that rainfall and where it's been scorching hot all summer long into Texas, now getting into more of the extreme, if not exceptional, drought in the middle part of the Lone Star State. There's a look at what we got with the drought monitor. So we overlay the flooding potential coming up on Friday. You got Michigan, Indiana, a little bit into Ohio with about a 5 to 15% chance of flooding occurring with heavy rains. And then this little U, the soft U, back into South Carolina, Georgia, and also near the Mississippi. That's, again, separate from the severe weather or the cold front situation back up here to the north and the west. By Saturday, we kind of wash that cold front out, and when that happens, a lot of times we squeeze that atmosphere a little bit more. So it's not so much the severe weather side of things, rather the heavy rainfall or the flooding potential by Saturday. And that's why we see a bigger area in green with the flooding potential coming up Saturday and also a little bit into Sunday. And by Sunday, when we start to add in more of the 15 to 40% chance of some showers and thunderstorms back into Iowa, into Missouri, as well as Illinois. So again, that's the flooding potential. Take a look at what's going on with the precipitation outlook between August 15th and August 19th. In terms of the rainfall, what we have this weekend is about what we're going to have to hold on to for portions of Tennessee, Kentucky. Still a little bit wetter than normal up into Michigan, Wisconsin, where we certainly needed some of that rainfall. And then the rain starting to come through back here in the Four Corners. Again, that's August 15th through the 19th. Temperature outlook kind of feeds that trend where the heat's going to build back in from the south to the north. Pocket of cooler air stays up through the Dakotas as well as Minnesota and Minneapolis into Wisconsin. Marysville, mostly sunny, high around 95 degrees, low of 69. Somerset, Kentucky, partly cloudy, high of 86, low of 68 degrees. And what about Maryland? Annapolis, mostly sunny, high around 87 degrees, low of 74.
Seeing the world in butter. Up next, we'll visit a couple impressive state fair displays. And not every season is perfect, but we'll meet a Georgia farm finding a way to serve their customers in new and unique ways in the country. It's State Fair time, and what better way to celebrate than with butter? We showed you the butter sculpture at the Ohio State Fair last month. Now let's check out one in Iowa and the iconic Iowa State Fair butter cow. But this year there are some famous athletes sharing the cooler with the cow. They include Jack Trice, Iowa State's first African-American athlete, Kurt Warner, the only person to be inducted into both a Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Arena Hall of Fame, and Caitlin Clark, the University of Iowa women's basketball standout player. You can check out these sculptures at the fairgrounds in Des Moines now through Sunday, August 20th. And the Illinois State Fair unveiling its own butter cow made from 500 pounds of the spread. The butter cow at the Illinois Fair has been an unofficial icon since the 1920s and is a favorite among fair goers. It took sculptor Sarah Pratt's 5 days to create this life-size cow. She used unsalted butter, by the way. And if you can't make it there in person, you can check out the live butter cow webcam at statefair.illinois.gov. Well, when life gives you lemons, you make blueberry tea or find some other creative new ideas for customers of your farm. We'll meet a Georgia couple doing just that next.
Your next piece of equipment is on machinerypete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on machinerypete.com.
What do you do when Mother Nature causes heavy losses to one of the biggest cash crops on your farm? Well, a couple in Newton County, Georgia is meeting the challenge with resilience and an innovative approach to keep their farm going. As Damon Jones of the Georgia Farm Monitor explains.
Typically this time of year, these bushes at Deer Creek Farm would be chock full of blueberries. However, with a late freeze destroying the majority of their signature item, owners Joe and Merlin Harper had to rely on their ever-expanding vegetable gardens.
Oh, it's been a game changer. You know, I guess being a farmer, you always have to have plan B, at least plan B, sometimes plan C as well. So we were able to pivot from the blueberries. We still use the blueberries to make our tea and our other value-added products, but being able to grow these unique vegetables and take them to the market and sell them to customers that come to the farm has really been a lifesaver for us in keeping us sustained.
We've got quite a few tomatoes, but we've gotten quite a few squash, zucchini. This fall, the lettuce did very well, kale, stuff like that. So it really, really did well.
And it's not just the staple items that keep customers coming back, but also the exotic collection of produce like black tomatoes and lemon cucumbers that keep things interesting for both the consumer and the farmer.
Each year I go through a catalog and I see what's different, and I read a lot and I see what people are enjoying and what people are trying, and then I kind of put together a crop plan. I enjoy trying different things and seeing what I can grow and how things work, working in nature. So I love being outside, and I just love being a part of what nature brings.
She liked to be a little different, and so she get the catalogs and she see these unique items, and she said, let's try this, let's try that, and so far it's been a hit.
Their value-added products have also been a big hit with customers, from salsa to pepper jelly. However, it's one item in particular that's received most of the attention.
People love our tea. It's so unique. We've gotten so many different reactions. And sometimes we've even had a customer tell us that how the tea made them feel. They said, when I drink that tea, it took me back to made me feel like I was on the back porch of my grandmother's house sipping tea.
And for that reason, it was recently named a finalist for the Flavor of Georgia contest. And with each step of the production process being monitored, it's no wonder the quality and consistency remains high.
It's our special herbs and spices that brings out the blueberry flavor, because blueberries are subtle, so they're great, but they need something to help them to pop, I would say. That flavor needs to be brought out, so we add different ingredients to it to make them shine, and you get that blueberry burst.
Despite the setback this year with their blueberry crop, the Harpers have been anything but deterred. In fact, they're even hoping to expand their operation.
We would love to get more farmland. This is more hills, rolling hills, and Georgia red clay and rock. We would like to get something a little flatter, something that's been tilled up before and used as farming. and put groves of blueberries out there.
Reporting from Newton County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
And our thanks to Damon Jones and the Georgia Farm Monitor for sharing that story with us. From all of us here at AgDay.